Today we're having a look at Xiaomi Smart Band 7 Pro, which comes with a 1.64-inch always-on AMOLED display and a built-in GPS. When it comes to the box, there's not too much to it, just a box with a picture on the front and some specifications around the back. Inside we have the band itself, a USB cable for charging, and a small manual. The color combination on the Xiaomi Smart Band 7 Pro is quite attractive with its light golden look, where the edge around the black display is the golden part and everything else is white. The glass is 2.5D, which means it's slightly curved around the edges. Around the back we find all the sensors for pulse and blood oxygen, along with a connector for the magnetic charger. Compared to the smaller Xiaomi bands, the 7 Pro feels much more premium. Having real bands that attach to the case instead of a rubber band stretched around it helps a lot. They can be detached by pressing the buttons, so you can quickly switch between colors and band types. One of the biggest differences is the display. The Mi Band 7 Pro has a 1.64-inch AMOLED display, which isn't very big, but it makes a big difference compared to the other band models. Resolution is 280 by 456 pixels, and max brightness is 500 nits, which is sufficient even for sunlight, but could of course be better. When I first got the watch, I didn't know how to turn it on, as there's absolutely no physical buttons on it. I tried holding a while on the display, but that didn't work. Connecting the magnetic charger did the trick though, but if you know any other way to turn it on, please tell me in the comments below. Once powered on, a QR code pops up on the screen and links to a website for the app. It may be safe to download the app from here, but I'm not going to risk it. I'm always skeptical about downloading apps from websites, and I'm sure it's safer to open the Play Store and download it from there. The setup process is easy and quick. Just note that you may have to set the region to China if you have the Chinese version of the Mi Band 7 Pro. Otherwise, the watch may not show up in the app at all. One of the biggest upgrades is the display, which makes it look more like a normal smartwatch. It also supports always-on display, but the AOD doesn't show any notifications, so it's quite static and not very useful. Navigating through the menus is similar to other bands. When swiping up, we get all the different functions in a nice looking menu, which can be set to display only icons with no text if you prefer. To quickly go back, we swipe to the right, and swiping down shows us all the notifications. Swiping to the right, we have the quick toggle menu. And to the left are the tiles, widgets, or what you want to call it. This part is customizable, so we can choose which widgets we want to see here, and in what order they are displayed. The Mi Band 7 Pro has a lot of watch faces to choose from, and the ones that come pre-installed are pretty okay. By long pressing on the display, we can choose which one we want. If you see this blue button at the bottom of the display, it means we can customize it a bit. And the customizable items will be marked with a blue area around it. So here we can tap the heart rate and replace it with something else, like for example calories. All the pre-installed watch faces look very good, but I found the ones you can install from the app looks even better. So I advise taking a good look in the app before settling with one. Despite weighing almost twice as much as the Mi Band 7, the Mi Band 7 Pro still weighs only 20.5 grams, making it very lightweight and barely noticeable on the wrist. It's a beautiful watch that looks more expensive than it actually is. It's also equipped with an ambient light sensor, so the display brightness will adjust automatically, but can also be set manually if you prefer. The always-on display has a few different options to save battery, but I usually kept it off as I didn't find it very useful anyway. The raise to wake function is one that I do use, as it wakes the display up when I need to use it. It's nice that this function can be put on a schedule, as I don't need it to be active at night. One setting I recommend you change right away is vibration. In my opinion, it's too weak on the default setting, so I changed this to strong right away. Another setting I changed is the app layout. This lets us choose how the menu is displayed. List mode shows us all the options with an icon and text on the side, so it's easy to find what I need. The default setting here is icon mode, which puts all the icons in 2 columns without any text. If you want to block other people from using the watch, it can be locked with a PIN code. Workout modes seems to be one of the big focus points on this watch, as it's got an insane amount of activities to choose from. I think it's around 110 different modes. Of course, we have all the normal modes like jogging, walking, and so on. But there's also categories like water sports, dance, combat sports, and so on. So there's a good chance you'll find what you need here. Another big update is the built-in GPS, so you no longer have to bring the phone to track a workout, as the watch can now do it all on its own. It also gets a GPS signal quite quickly, so there's not much waiting time before starting the activity. After completing a workout, we can still access the activity data directly on the watch. We get a view of the path, time, distance, average heart rate, pace, and so on. Even some graphs of the heart rate, intensity, pace, and cadence. More details can be accessed in the app on the phone. The menus on the Band 7 Pro are not the smoothest I've seen, as it's a bit laggy and choppy here and there, but it's still smooth enough and nice to use. If you want a more advanced training program, you'll find something a bit more interesting in the running function. Here you can choose different preset training plans for fat burning, endurance, interval, and so on. These are preset plans that combine walking, jogging, and sprinting. It supports continuous heart rate monitoring that shows us a nice little graph and some heart rate zone results for the day. SpO2 can be started manually or set to continuous monitoring. Sleep shows a summary of my sleep quality for last night. Do people actually use the stress measuring function? I think I know when I'm stressed. Same with the breathing function. Have you ever used it? Cycles isn't really something I could test, but I think women wouldn't mind this function if it works well. Mi AI is a voice assistant, and yes, there is a microphone on the side of the Mi Band 7 Pro, but at the moment it doesn't understand English, at least not on the Chinese version of the watch, so it's not very useful for me. Weather forecast is nice to have, but for some reason it doesn't work on my watch. I suspect it may be because I have the Chinese version, and I'm not actually in China. Cards, I guess, are for payment cards, but I think this would only work together with the WeChat functions, which means it's not going to work outside China. Events is like a calendar function, but you have to add events in the Mi Fitness app. It doesn't pull any events from your calendar. We can remotely control the music player from the watch, and we can see the song title at the top. Here are functions for skipping, pausing, going back, and we can control the volume. It's very responsive and nice to use, and you can add it as a tile for quick access. The display can also be used as a remote control for the phone's camera. This can be useful if you place the phone somewhere out of reach, or if you need the camera to stand perfectly still while taking photos. Alarms can be set directly on the watch, and they work fine for me, but it's not the most powerful vibration, so if you're a deep sleeper, you may miss the alarm. We can also choose which days the alarm should be active. Focus is not the most useful function, as it basically just turns on the Do Not Disturb mode and lets you focus for a while, meditate, or do whatever you need. Of course, it's also got a stopwatch to time whatever we need, and it supports laps. It's also possible to set countdown timers by using one of the presets, or you can set a custom timer if necessary. The watch can also be used as a flashlight by maximizing the display brightness. It's not the brightest light, but I guess it can be helpful in some situations. Find phone will sound an alarm on the phone if it's still connected to the watch by Bluetooth. If it's not connected, this function is completely useless. Here's also Alipay, WeChat, and settings. Two very important features for me are notifications for incoming calls and messages. So when getting a call, this is what you will see, and we have three options here. Green button to mute the call, red to reject it, and we can swipe up to reply with a message. These are preset messages, so we can only choose what is here. It's not possible to write messages on the watch. If you don't like the preset messages, it is possible to add new ones in the app on the phone. Incoming messages look good, but there is something I don't like here. It doesn't display any emojis at all. It just replaces them with boxes. As an example, the following message is a message I received that includes a variety of emojis, none of which displayed correctly on the watch. I hope this issue will be addressed in a future update. By the way, it's not possible to reply to messages directly on the watch. Moving over to the phone, we find the Mi Fitness app. You may want to use one of the other Xiaomi apps, like for example Zepp Life, but sadly I couldn't get them working with the Mi Band 7 Pro. Anyway, the Mi Fitness app looks quite good and is easy to use. On the front page we find a quick view of our stats and functions. The daily stats page has some nice graphs of our results, and we can jump back to previous days to get a quick comparison. All the different functions will show graphs and the relevant information in a nice way, but it feels a little bit basic. Sleep monitoring works fine and seems to be accurate enough, same with heart rate, SpO2, and so on. The Mi Band 7 Pro has a lot of functions, but keeping them all switched on will quickly drain the battery. With the always-on display, continuous heart rate, SpO2 and sleep monitoring switched on, and doing 1 hour of GPS activity each day, I got about 3 to 4 days of battery life. Just by switching the display and SpO2 monitoring off, but keeping the rest on, the battery life increased to about a week or even up to 10 days. If you switch off even more functions, the battery life can get up to about 12 days. In the app, we also find what they call band displays, or more commonly known as watch faces. The selection is very good and I found a lot to like here. If you bought this watch, I recommend the first thing you do after setting it up is go in here and find something you like. One thing to note if you get the Chinese version of the Mi Band 7 Pro is the weather function. I like this function on watches, but sadly it doesn't work on mine at all. When trying to open it, the app crashes every single time. It may be a result of me having the Chinese version of the watch, and I'm not actually in China. Please let me know if you have any way to fix this. All in all, this is a very nice looking watch with a good selection of functions and watch faces. The display looks very good and it's got decent battery life. For the price, this is a great value product, and with such a small price difference between the standard and the Pro model, it's easy to recommend getting the Pro. The Mi Band 7 Pro gets a big thumbs up from me. Even though the watch doesn't have any buttons, you can still press the button below this video to subscribe and the bell for notifications. And that's it for this video. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one. Have a nice day. Bye bye.